everyone! We are back. Christina was over in Portsmouth, but now she's here. I'm so sorry, Christina. We are just trying to find you now. Hello, everyone. Thank you for rejoining us. Hello, Maidstone. Back again. Take two. This is like, part of the clapperboard thing, if I had one, in our own little channel of joy. Here she is. Hello, Liv. Hello, everyone. I am such a fan. I cannot wait to meet you. Hello, Malden Theatre Train. Hello, Christina. I'm so sorry. Were you over on Theatre Train Portsmouth?
I was in Portsmouth, love.
I think we might have tagged you on the wrong page. I'm so sorry.
It's so funny. It's brilliant.
Oh,
How are you?
I'm good. Look at your hair. Is this a lockdown thing? It's incredible.
It was bright. It was yellow, and then it was bright pink, and now it's kind of faded to that awful like rose goldy colour. But hey, I'm embracing it. We're not allowed to do this, are we, as actors usually? So it's you just got to think embrace.
Embrace. I mean, each week, Christina, my hair, this just gets. I mean, what is that? I don't even. That's lockdown fringe.
It's shabby chic.
Thanks. I've invested in it, so I feel like it's progressed.
I'm invested in it. If you believe, I believe.
Thanks. Thank goodness. Someone does. We are literally so lucky to be talking to you today. You are literally, you're an inspiration to me. And I'm you as like a friend of mine, but like you are insanely talented, insanely successful. You are like, I was looking at your CV earlier and I was like, you've actually got the dream CV. You have the dream CV. You've worked at the National. You've worked at Regent's Park. You've worked for the RSC. You've been on the cast album recording of Six, the original Anne Boleyn herself. Like, what? Do you look at your CV and go, yeah, that's pretty great right there?
It's easy to look at those things on a page, isn't it? And just be like, whoa. But I just think I look at yours in the same way too. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, yeah. It's like it's so easy to see, I think, what everyone else has. And also it's that thing of like it took me so long to batter those doors down. Like,
I was gonna ask you.
Like 3 years ago I would never have been seen for something at the National or been seen for something at the RSC or been seen for it's right job, right time, right place, and just perseverance and keeping going. I think it's just that, and just it's there. It's a building. It's a place. It's a place you want to work, and I think both of. It's easy to see sort of that at the National, and then you look at it and you go, I absolutely loved that job. But that was like, it was a job that was like a way in, and I still would love to do something else there that is that is an even bigger production. So it's by no means kind of the final. It's a way in. I think you're always looking for those ways into to what you want. I think, and I think it's just finding those opportunities, isn't it? And going, well, it's perhaps not how I envisaged it, but this is ace, and you go with it and hope that it opens the doors that you kind of want to be through. If that makes any sense.
And were those the dream? What was that like? Did you, when you were like younger, obviously at Theatre Train, we got all our young performers.
Yeah, hello everybody. Lots of people saying hello, and then I'm skipping through. So hello.
What was your kind of like? Did you have when you were, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do when you were a young performer? Where did it start for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just a really annoying child. Can you guess that?
Never.
My mum and dad ran a hairdressers when I was little, and I used to make even like 2-3 years old. I used to go there with mum and dad when I wasn't at nursery or with my sister at school or whatever. And I used to make the customers tell me stories, and they used to teach me songs, and that I was relentless. I was like non-stop at the same time as like working and making teas for everyone, and it was like a real kind of experience. And it wasn't until one of the customers turned around to my mum one day, because my family have no one in my family has had anything to do with theatre other than when I was younger. I come from a Greek Cypriot family, and the services at the Greek Orthodox Church were sung through. The culture is very musical. So we have that in our culture, but in terms of theatre, my parents had no idea. And one of the customers said to my mum one day, "You should take her to drama classes. She seems like she'd really enjoy that." And mum and dad sort of went, "Yeah, all right, let's try and see." And that's where it started really. I went with a friend who was interested, and then she ended up quitting, and I ended up staying and absolutely loving it. I think the same friend I went to gymnastics with, and she stayed, and I didn't go back to that one, but
I tried gymnastics.
Definitely too clumsy. Yeah, no, the gymnastics thing did not work out, but
yeah, you know, never too late to try.
I know, but like in terms of what you say, like, wait a minute, let's just see. It's all about still playing, isn't it? And that's the thing, you know, to all your students, you just got to keep playing, keep having fun. What we do is fun, and it's hard. It's really hard, and the minute it stops being fun, and the minute you don't want to do it, then there's just no point because it's too hard. But it's also so rewarding when you know you've battered those doors down, and then finally they sort of like sneak ajar, or for some people they swing wide open, and then you're like, I did it. It's so much more worth it because you know what you did or what you sacrificed to get there, you know. And also life is a funny way of life is once you realize that career, I feel lucky to do something that I love. But sometimes life does take over, and relationships in your life are important, and things can break down in your life, and you are your product, so you have to make the best of that, of transitioning that, you know. So, but in terms of, sorry, I've completely digressed off your question.
No.
I think that when I was younger, my dream was just like, I'd be famous, I'd be the West End, you know. And I think things change as you get older, and you sort of hone in what you want. So I was always told, like, you'll never do this. You can't do this as a child. When I was always second best or third best or never good enough. And I only really started coming into my own, I think, at kind of like 14, 15. And then I was pushed a little bit by the kind of people who believed in me in my life at that age.
And who was that at that age for you?
I think my teachers at school, my drama teachers at school, different amateur companies that I went to. I sort of moved around a little bit, and you know, some really push you, and some really know kind of when to hold you back as well, and when is a good time to go, no, it's actually a good lesson to learn that you didn't get that role, and you're actually going to do this in this rather than, you know, the part you really wanted to play or whatever.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I think I learned very quickly that when people told me I couldn't, I worked harder. And you sort of owe it to those people just as much as the people that actually gave you the chance, I think.
Yes,
because
sure.
that it does push. It sometimes pushes you further into yourself, which then gets you, you know, more like determined. So it's kind of finding a balance of the two. But yeah, definitely, like my school teachers, my family, like my mum and dad have always believed in me. But again, my dad like never lied. If I came down and went, Dad, listen to this song I've just learned, and I did it and it wasn't very good, he'd go, it wasn't very good. And I'd be like, you're so horrible to me. And then I learned very quickly to trust his opinion, because he wasn't saying, you're amazing, you're going to, he was realistic. And I think I owe a lot of that, you know, I owe a lot of that to, I think once you listen to the people you respect, it's a different kettle of fish. If someone's trying to put you down because you are ultimately doing a better job than them, then they're not worth listening to, you know. I think you've got to choose who you respect and choose who pushes you forward. Looking back now, I mean, when you're in it, you come home, don't you, and you're like, so it's always nasty to me today, and they said I couldn't do this. You can't see that then, but you know, looking back now, I probably would tell myself just to keep going and care less about what people think. Yeah.
Fan the flames. Fan the flames of joy.
Fan the flames of joy.
Well, I got a question there from the Isle of Wight theatre train.
Yeah,
what was the dream role? Was there a dream role or a dream show when you were a student? Did you have like mine was Les Mis. Lots of people have seen Tam Talk. No, Tam Talk goes by. I'd be like, I was in Les Mis.
Yeah, but she did it. She did it. Exactly. She achieved the dream twice.
She did. How about you, Christina? Did you have one?
Yeah, when I was training, I think the dream was Elphaba. I've still not done it. But
you'd be a crack in Elphaba.
Oh, bless you. maybe one day. I'll probably do like the Southwark Playhouse version when they close it in the West End.
That would be amazing. I'd come and see that.
Belting those notes out in a really small room.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, overkill, I think. But yeah, no, I think that was probably my role. All things like I loved like Lady of the Lake and Spamalot, or Nancy and Oliver.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, whilst I was training, I think those were kind of, because I could only see what was there. Like, whereas now, I'd say after doing things like a cast album and doing new stuff where you realize you actually get to be creative. My dream has changed, and it's more to originate something that isn't yet written, rather than to go into something with preconceived ideas. So I think what as a student, it was to play those big roles, which I still want to do, but yeah, I think I remember when I was training and The Heights came out, and I was like, I really would love to do that.
Which you did.
And then I went to see We Were Rocking. I was like, I'd love to play Killer Queen.
Which you did.
So there are things, it's that thing, isn't it, where you go, there are things you have achieved, and then it's so easy to get bogged down with the things you haven't, I think, sometimes.
For sure. I think that's really true. I think, kind of like looking back, and you have, Christina, you've done some incredible things. So you went to, which we will go on and talk about. I'm so excited. So you went to Arts Ed. What was Arts Ed like for you?
I loved Art Ed. Like, it did what I needed it to do for me. And also I was with like-minded people. It opened my eyes to culture. I was suddenly I wasn't in my little tiny town in Wales where, you could turn up to London and there's all these different people from different backgrounds, from different countries, from different walks of life. And suddenly, like, even moving to London for me was just like this. I always knew I wanted to do that. As a kid, I auditioned. I used to go for like little adverts with my dad, and he said he took me to London once, and he didn't know where he was going. And the first time we went, he didn't know where he was going, and I was like, "It's this way," just like a rat straight away on the tubes. And I always knew I wanted to be there. So, and then for me, I knew that my acting and singing was stronger than my dance. Okay. So I wanted to do a course that I could still work on my singing and acting, but equally when I leave, not be like, I'll never get through that dance call. Because realistically, you're never going to walk out of it. I mean, some people do, and it's great, but in my head, I was like, I'm probably never going to walk out and play lead roles straight away. So I need to do something that keeps me experiencing and keeps me busy until maybe that time is right, and that time comes. And so I knew I wanted to be pushed in that field, because I didn't do a lot of that growing up. So for me, I remember rocking up on the first day of outside and being so chuffed that I got in. But then also, they streamed us into classes, and this woman started shouting French words at me, and I was like, I've not done ballet really before. I understood the basics, but she started shouting French words, and everyone was moving around the room, and I was like, I don't know what these words are. They're all in a different language, and then you've got to take in the different language and then put them onto your body. And so I remember instantly feeling like I was a really small fish in a big pond when I first went to drama school. And then you get used to the people, and then the support, and then you know kind of what journey you're on. And I'm the sort of person who just knuckles down and gets on with it. There are it is easy at drama school, it's like you get broken down, so people do bring out your insecurities, and they do put them on show. They do go, oh, Christina, you're insecure about this. Hey, look, everybody, Christina's insecure about this. And you have to go, oh God, like, oh God. But then
I felt like that.
Yeah, but that's what being an actor is, isn't it? It's like putting yourself on a plate and going, do you like it? Do you not?
And did you find your casting, so when we talk about casting, did you feel like it changed at drama school, or did it stay the same, or did you feel challenged about, being in terms of placement in the industry, or did you feel like it was just an evolving process of kind of knowing what you were right for, and you always kind of felt that instinctively, or did you what was that kind of process like in terms of being like I want to say a product for the industry, but feeling like you knew where, the roles? I know there's instinct, but I just wondered what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, I feel like I've always known what I can and can't do.
Okay.
I think it was very clear to me in my childhood. I think it just was. I've just never, I've if I do something, then I used to, for instance, go to like an audition, let's say with my dad at like 9 years old and be like, I got that. And he'd be like, Christina, don't get your hopes up. Like it's, you might not. And then we'd get the call saying, yes, you got that one. And then I'd go into the room and go, didn't get that one, Dad. It was fun, but I didn't get it. And he'd be like, oh, don't be hard on yourself, child, and so we wouldn't get a call. So I think I've always had that
You've always known. Has it been the same as you've
natural.
been yeah.
I think you get more clouded as you get older, don't you?
Right.
I think you get a wee bit more clouded because I think there's more variables but I think ultimately like I tend to trust. I have done since I was a young child, trusted my gut instinct. It's not always the right thing to do, but so I think rocking up at college, I always knew what I wanted and what I was aiming for. Did they push me out of my comfort zone? Yes, all the time. But I think that's what it's about. And I always try and stay open to as many different things. Because if you don't try, you don't know, right?
For sure.
So,
I always hear about that. It's a very kind of like, for me in art said, like the dancing, the singing, the acting. I always feel like it's a real kind of triple threat school. Not that other schools aren't, but I just always kind of get that impression that it's really like.
And it's changed as well. Like even since I graduated, like the whole acting department got changed after my first year, and then they umbrellaed the school, and then now Chris Hockin, he had a core head teacher, now he's running it, so it has evolved as well. And also they've got their new theatre now, and
the Andrew Lloyd Webber theatre,
and they've got the patronage and all that sort of stuff. So it has evolved as well, but I think they do try and kind of bring everyone. I mean, in first year you're streamed with your dance ability, and then second year you're streamed random, so everyone is expected to reach a certain level by the end of first year.
Okay, interesting. And did people leave the course?
I think we had 4 people. One came back the next year, but I think we had 4 people leave over the course of it. It's not for everyone, and it's a lot of money.
For sure.
It's a lot of money to then go, like we said earlier, about not kind of doing it if your heart and head's not in it. It's also a lot to take, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot to take. Someone telling you every day, it's just not good enough, you've got to get better. It's just not good enough, you've got to get better, and you being exposed and then being comfortable with that. And it's just like a complete retrain of your mind and your body. And I mean, I'll never be that fit ever again, unless I'm in Cats, which is never going to happen. So
don't say never. Don't say never.
Oh yeah, white cat, here I come. I look great in that lycra.
You would, for sure.
That white lycra, yeah, I'm sure. When you said, am I aware of what I can and can't do? Yeah, that's one thing.
You me both, my friend. Although in the train, I did play the Gumby cat, and it was a white white
you'd be a brilliant Gumby cat. I wish I'd seen that.
White catsuit with ginger fur, just like, which is a great combo. Just perhaps not on me. Shall we say?
I think you look great in a bin bag, to be fair.
Thanks,
you're all right.
Christina. Stop it. Oh my gosh, such a lovely chat.
I feel good about myself now.
So you went to what said. So let's talk about that's kind of step into the industry. Agents, talking about kind of first year out. They say that the first year out of somewhere like college is the hardest. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think the first few years out of college is quite hard. I think it's really easy to go, I've done my training now, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to do this, and I'm a finished product, and then you sort of realize that, oh my God, you're not that at all. You've just done the fundamental basics. You've basically stripped yourself back down, and then you do a lot of learning on the job or not on the job. You learn just as much about yourself when you're out of work as you do when you are in work. And I think that's a really important thing to recognize. And I think a lot things have changed, haven't they? I don't know, when I was in my first year at drama college, looking at the third years leaving, yes, most of them did get agents, but some of them didn't. By the time, but now everyone at Arts Ed pretty much leaves with an agent, and leaves knowing maybe what job they're going on to. Like, it's quite, you are working continuously with people in the industry. They always have people from the industry coming in to teach you. So you already kind of build a network before you've even left that building. And I think that's what that course offers you, in the same way that Guildford and Mountview, and Central and RADA and, all these like London-based, well, not always just London-based, but those, if you can find a school that offers you that extra help of meeting people in the industry before you've even left, then that's just a little bit more of a foot in the door, isn't it? But I think people are so bogged down that when they leave drama school, they have to get a job straight away. And if they don't, it means that they're not good enough, or for some reason, I can't do cruises, even though I want to do cruises. Well, why? Go hone your craft. Everyone goes, and if you want to do something, go for it. Everyone goes on a different journey. And as someone who, I was really lucky in some ways that I got a job pretty soon after graduating. But then a year later, that put me a step behind everyone else, because I never learned how to audition.
Right. Okay.
And I also didn't do the rounds. I didn't meet loads of my friends who then went on to work later than I did, ended up staying in work for longer, because actually they'd met David Grindrod, they'd met Cameron's office, they'd met all these different casting directors and be in rooms with them, and those casting directors wanted to cast them in things. It's just maybe that wasn't right for that time. I spent a year in a show where I just graduated, so nobody knew my name except for that show. And then you sort of have to kind of start from scratch even more, because then I was covering an older woman. So then every time I left, all the breakdowns that were coming through was to cover older women. And I was like, hang on, I'm only 20, 21, 22. Why am I being asked to cover that? I can play that in 50 years time. I want to play my age. I want to sing my age. So I think it's really easy to just see sometimes, they're in work, and that's great. And especially with social media now, it's so easy to go, look at their pictures, they look so happy, or look at what they've achieved, they look so happy. And it's just not always what's behind the kind of facade of social media as well. I mean, I learned so much on that show, like so much.
What show was it, Christina?
We Will Rock You.
Amazing.
So I was really lucky, and it's like learning to drive. I don't know if do you drive, Tam? You do drive, don't you?
Right.
Do you drive?
I could drive a car, never taken the test. Need to take the test. The reason being is that every time I go to take the test, I do get a show or something happens, so I can't book it in advance. Everyone's like, yeah.
So they're just saving. They're saving all
sure.
the other drivers in the UK from you on the road just a little bit longer.
For sure.
But it's that thing, isn't it? Like when you learn, I don't know if you know then, because when you learn to drive, you learn the mechanics of everything, and then you don't actually learn to drive until you go to different towns and you get experience other drivers. And I think that's what this business is like. And I think you're always learning. And actually, I had a year and a bit out of work. I think I did like one profit share job in between. And one profit share job and a panto in between and a couple of workshops in between We Will Rock You and kind of In the Heights. So although those two things, and then it was a real struggle between that time. And also at 21, 22, you don't know who you are or what you really like or what you really want. You're just kind of like, I'll do anything to work, and so when you go in the room, you don't always have that detail that maybe someone else who does know what they want or does really want that job has. Or, and I know I went through a bit of a confidence crisis because my voice got really stuck in that We Will Rock You style, and then I couldn't sing anything else. And that taught me a valuable lesson of, well, keep going to singing lessons. Just because you're in a show, it doesn't mean that you're using your voice in the correct way, or that it's gonna sustain any other type of singing. And I learned that the hard way, because I had to really start again, and I was messing up auditions, and my confidence went, and then in my private life I went through like a breakup, and all those things kind of. But also in that year and a half of like not really having anything, I did workshops with like directors who I've now worked with. I worked on a reception desk at a rehearsal space and met so many people that have actually ended up helping me later on down the line.
Wow.
So it's really interesting that some people don't see those opportunities because they're not. Sometimes you're more restricted when you're in work than you are when you're out of work. And I think as soon as you recognize that, I think you've maybe it's a coping mechanism. Maybe that's how I cope with being out of work. I don't know. Maybe it's not helpful to everyone, but I just think there are still opportunities, and those opportunities can lead to things in the long run. So it's always good to have a kind of hindsight rather than what we're used to now is seeing instant fame. You know, you don't see people's graft. You don't see people fail and try again. You just see their successes. You see, oh my God, that person is on X Factor. And you don't really see sometimes the build up of how they got to that. I mean, you do on X Factor and it's very hyped up, but you don't actually fully understand, I think, because people never advertise their failures.
Yeah,
they never say I failed. So you only see the booming success because that's when they come on your radar because they're a success. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting. So I think coming into the industry when you leave drama school. Sorry, I told you I'd gone off on a little tangent. You're not going to get the chance to ask me all the questions. I'm like, no. I think it's that thing of everyone goes on their journey, and I think you're always learning. So just keep going and be a sponge and like try and just keep as much of it as you can.
Keep going. Keep the dream alive.
Keep the dream alive, people.
So so let's talk about In the Heights, which is an incredible show.
Oh, it's still my favorite job. Tell us a
little bit about In the Heights and your journey with it, your process.
Yeah. So I did the very original that went to Southwark Playhouse, so really intimate, and it was just everyone on that job, producers, directors, choreographers, actors, everyone was at a real turning point, like creatively, and we all happened to meet in time at the same time on this project that we all is the only job where I can say like, oh no, well, yeah, it's the only job where 100% everyone's passion was in, 100%, every department, costume, even Southwark, the venue, even the musicians, everyone wanted to be there. I mean, we were on like £35 a week.
Really?
Yeah.
At the Southwark Playhouse?
Wow. So this was before Southwark we had meetings with Equity about how, I don't know if you remember when you graduated, but there was profit share and then there was like West End UK touring wage.
Yes.
And now that's kind of gone like this, where the high wages have kind of come down because those smaller theatres have had to introduce a basic, basically, so that people don't get nothing. And we were kind of just before that time, and we had lots of meetings with Equity about. Rehearsals, we were on that. For the actual show, we were on a little bit more, but I mean a little bit more. But rehearsals was just a travel card. Like one of the girls used to come on a scooter every day. She couldn't afford to get. Yeah, I was still doing a dressing job in the evenings whilst rehearsing that show in the days. Like people don't see that kind of struggle through it, but everyone wanted to be in that room, and it was a really special music, special job, and it put all of us on a map. Like when you think to like Luke Shepherd, Drew McCorney, Gareth, who did designed the sound, and like Howard and did the lighting, and then Gabby Slade, who's now done the costumes on Six. Like it really, those people have gone on, Victoria Hampton Barrett, Sam Mackay, Emma Kingston, all those people had a glimmer of something. And all of us wanted to drive forward with something all at the same time. And I think that show did that for us all.
Incredible.
And we loved it.
Did you meet Lin-Manuel Miranda?
So he was writing Hamilton when we did it. So his parents came to see the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but he couldn't make it. But after we'd closed, because it was only open 4 weeks, which is mad. He came and we went to, do you remember, is Century Bar still there on Shaftesbury Avenue? We went and met him on the rooftop bar with his partner, Vanessa, his wife, I think, actually. We went and met them and went for I've just suddenly blanked. I'm sure her name is Vanessa, because I'm sure it's the same as the character in the Heights. I need to check that. In fact, I might have just called her the wrong name. But we met them in the bar there, and yeah, and it was lovely. We just sort of had a chat about the experience, and it was before he kind of blew up into this kind of
Moana writing.
Legend, yeah.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what a
So
cool
yeah.
Incredible.
That's
And
the one I would love to revisit again.
really?
Like, yeah, I would give my right arm to do that show again. I absolutely loved it. I think I'm too old now.
Clean in that production with you.
So he did the King's Cross. So
Right.
we got the call to sit. So we waited a year and a bit for that show to transfer. We waited and waited and waited, and then when we finally got the call, I was in week 5 of rehearsals for Shrek, and they wouldn't. I couldn't get out. I couldn't. So I never got. And then every time they needed a new Nina, something just didn't quite work out timing wise. I think I was about to do Rent, and then it interrupted with the timing, and so I never quite got to go back. Because I think that's my little niggle.
Yeah, for sure. So Shrek, absolutely. Shrek, Rent.
Shrek. Well, I've had my face painted green for almost a year of my life.
Amazing. What would you say, like, Christina, you've sang so much like diverse kind of musical theatre. What do you have any advice about singing auditions, or generally just placement of singing auditions, or what, how do you have singing lessons now? How do you work like on your voice to be ready to do a Shrek audition, or etc.? What would you, I know it's about 5 questions in once.
No. I'm good at answering 5 questions in once, even if you haven't asked them. Can't tell. So I think it's really important I think, like I said, We Will Rock You taught me that about my voice, and I was really lucky actually. Before I went to outside, I had a teacher back at home who was just starting to train in like Modestou, and he's amazing now. He's called Tim Richards, who said you need what he used to call a diva setup. So your diva setup is the way you sing. So you alter the way you sing. You have your voice, the way you want to sing, the way you function, and anything that's wrong with that, you can technically fix. If you fix that, you've got your voice. Then the thing that he taught me massively was it's all about having a toolkit. So if everything you do is a choice, not because you can't do it. So for instance, if I have to do 8 shows a week, I know that technically having a lot of air in my voice isn't helpful. So I've learned to sing with air and without air. And if I want to use it, it's a choice. Do you see what I mean? So it's not that like, or if I want to make this sound, then if I want to make a brighter sound, then a more musical theatre sound, then this is what it feels like. And if I want to make a more like soprano-y sound, or like a darker sound when I sing, or for like a more of a legit style, then this is what my setup is. So I have all these, like, I have my voice and the way I like to sing. And I also have like this blank canvas, so that when you play a character, you can go, well, actually for Anne Boleyn, it's real speech quality and rap. Which else? Anyway, and which on the breakdown to me sounded ridiculous. I was like, I'm never gonna get this job. It's more of a speech quality. And actually, I didn't use any of my natural voice for that part at all.
Really?
Like, it's all like, sorry, not sorry about. It's different sound to how I would normally sing. In the same way that I wouldn't sing Dragon the way I sing Anne Boleyn. So you have to, there's probably more of my soul in like a Dragon number, or, so I think it's like, it's balancing your technique. I think if it's like acting, you start with you, don't you? You always have you, so you can't ignore you. You start there, and then you go, right, what is this character, and how different are they from me, and what do I need to change? And it's the same with your voice. Like, what do I need to change to become that, to make that sound? Because it's just an instrument, really.
For sure.
It's like, how do you kind of let it function? And yes, I do. Singing lessons are very expensive, but I see the lovely Mark Maylan now. Actually, I haven't seen it for a while, but I have all my singing lessons pre-recorded, so I make sure I do them, and I have my warm-ups. So before I go into an audition, I have like my warm-ups that I designed for that sound, because you know, I used to be like, oh, you don't need to warm up. I'll just sing the song a couple of times. But then if they ask you to do it differently and that area of your voice isn't warm, that's the job gone, you know? So
Mm.
I think like you can be as prepared as you want to be for those rooms. And so I tend to try and do them as much as possible. I mean, life gets in the way. We all never feel like we do enough, do we? But
Yeah. And do you
you
feel
know,
like, so say a breakdown comes through, you get an audition, what would your preparation be? Would you work and just be like, guys, be, or like what would your process? Do you have any advice about that?
yeah, I think that's changed for me as well, because for me, I've realized that auditioning is about presenting your idea. It's your time in that room, not theirs. It's your time to
Mm.
go. They want to find that character just as much as you want to play that character. So, if you spend your time worrying too much about what they want, you forget to offer what you have.
Yes.
Um, so I think now my kind of idea of auditioning has changed, whereas before I would be like, make sure I know the words, make sure I know the notes, make sure it was almost like quite machine like. Whereas now it's like, how do I tell the story, or how do I envisage that character?
Mm.
And when I do a good job in auditions is when I have a clear picture of what that character, and until I find sometimes it takes me a couple of days. I'll look at the material and I go, I don't know how to do this, and then suddenly one thing will click and I'll go, aha, that's it, that's what I want to do with this character. And my worst auditions have been where I've walked in the room and I'm like, I don't understand what you want or what this character is, and I just can't feel that connection. It sounds a bit odd, but I think yeah. So obviously, I try to learn the song. As I think when you're learning lyrics and notes, it's really easy to get bogged down in that. But if you learn how you tell the story through those lyrics and through those notes, I think you automatically accidentally learn it anyway, because
Mm-hmm.
it's really impossible to, like, unless the words are really, really complicated and the thought changes are really, really quick and you haven't had a lot of time. Usually, it's easier to learn a song, isn't it, than like learn. Well, for me anyway,
Yeah.
than it is to learn a scene, because you have. But then it's a harder skill to perform because you are stuck in those notes. So you have to work out how those notes come out naturally and come out believable with in conjunction with the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
So
And the
and
technique.
yeah, and the technique on top, yeah. But then when you go in the room, you've just got to forget about your technique and just trust it. And I think
Yeah.
that's when and make sure that your song doesn't become about one note, or you know because a good MD will hear if you can hit that note or not. They can hear if you're nervous, they can hear that. And if they're interested in you, they'll get you to do it again. Um, and I think the minute you take that pressure off, it gets easier. I also used to not really prioritize the scene, and that's something I've learned to do now, where I've gone, no, I am an actor, so why am I not also looking at the dialogue? Why is that somehow less important? It's not. It's probably more important, and
Mm.
that gives you clues to the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it's that thing of an audition is a rehearsal. It's not a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
You're just giving people a flavour of
And
what
yeah,
you could
good,
do.
what you could play in. And I've realized something that I think has taken me like a portion of my career to realize that there's never a moment where you go, for me anyway, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the perfect performance or the perfect audition. There is no such thing for me, like, ever. Not because I'm
No.
hard on myself, but never, because things feel really good sometimes and you go, oh, I really, connected to that. But you never kind of go, this is the ultimate, like, smashing it. It feels fantastic, but it's not
Mm.
like a finished, gleaming, beautiful product.
No, 100%. I remember when I was training, and Adina Menzel said something like, if I do 70% of 75, I think it was 75, 70 or 75% of my show right, I'm happy. And
Mm.
I was like, obviously training, I was like, well, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't aim for 70% or 75%. You should aim for 100%. And then you sort of realize that there are so many variables. There's so many variables, like things can't always, you always aim to give 100%, not too. And I learned this the hard way as well. Giving 110% can sometimes just be as as detrimental as giving 90. Like,
yes,
do enough for what you need,
yes,
and you know, and I think that could be true for anything as well. I say it when I'm teaching singing, like, um, uh, take enough breath for the amount you need to sing. If you over breathe, you tense because you're trying to tank in your breath. And
yeah.
if you don't breathe enough, you run out of breath and I think it's the same about your energy as well. Like, too much energy and people go, whoa, 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 I don't know how I harness this. And then not enough people go, oh, well, they're lazy.
I
And
know.
I think
I
it's,
completely
it's,
resonate with that. I feel like I might have potentially not lost jobs, but my energy, it can sometimes, particularly when I'm nervous, I overshoot and I really kind of go for something. And it's taken me literally so long, which is actually quite fixable, to realize how much I have to contain something. And it's so funny. It's just like, I'm not even aware that I'm doing it. But being aware of that as your energy as an actor is incredibly important. So pulling back sometimes is like a massive thing for me.
yeah, letting that panel kind of come to you rather than
Yeah.
being like, here I am. And then them going, oh, 'cause it's like a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you do that to a partner, they run 10 million miles away. Like,
Yeah.
and if someone does that to you, you run 10 million miles away because and then equally, if they don't work hard enough, then you're like, I'm bored of chasing. It's like
Yeah.
that kind of,
Yeah.
it's that kind of two-way street, that is really hard to find. And I just had a meeting. I've just like held a free workshop because I'm running this business called the Agony Actor, which is
Yes.
like my new little idea.
Yeah.
But we had like a free workshop with Bruce Guthrie, a director, and we were just having a chat about, as actors, sometimes the brief is vague, and then you spend all your time worrying about that brief, and then you have to go in the room and deliver something,
Yeah.
and you spend so much time worrying about wait, how do they want this? So and actually you will never know that answer. So what's the point in worrying about it until you're in the room? Do
Yeah.
your work, do your research. And then when you get in that room, you have questions to ask, and it's okay to ask those questions, because again, it's your time.
Yeah. Being
I
aware.
just,
Absolutely. Let's talk about sex.
sex.
I mean, the show, what can we say? I remember when you were doing it at the Arts Theatre, and I remember being like, and you were saying, you're talking about it, and did you guys feel that it would become as successful as it has been?
I mean, we saw definitely. I mean, do you know that anything is going to be that successful?
No.
I don't know. You don't. You sort of go in it with your heart, and you go in it with the team, and you see what happens. And sometimes things just happen at the right time in the right place. I mean, we were really lucky that they used us on the cast album, and that they hadn't, because we. I mean, I've said this in interviews before, but we had 12 days to put on this show, and then we didn't have a design, we didn't have a set, we had half a day's tech, so we only actually had 5 hours on the set before we had to go in front of an audience on a set that we'd never been on, where the choreography was changing daily because so it's really hard to actually pass judgment when you're still just trying to remember what it is you're doing, because it was just mind-blowingly quick. But and I remember chatting to the girls, and every day was a roller coaster. Like, every day we'd all rock up being like, we can do this today, we've got this. And then as the day went on, it was like, this isn't working. Oh, that was really good. That's really working. Yes, we can do this. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh, that's really not working. And then why can't we? And then we literally went through like a roller coaster of emotions every day. And then we went home like absolutely knackered, and then back the next day for like the same kind of process on like every song.
Pardon? You were working on sex as it was evolving, or that it was kind of like, do you mean as in the process of trying to get it right?
Trying to get it on its feet, yeah, because they'd done it with Cambridge students, but not with like working professionals. So we were the very first kind of, it was sort of halfway between like a workshop,
right,
and a performance. And then obviously we were supposed to do, so we did Monday nights. So when the show in the Arts Theatre was dark on a Monday night, we performed 6 because they wanted to see how it would go down in London. And I remember talking to Lucy Moss in rehearsals. Everyone saying hello. I remember talking to Lucy Moss in rehearsals, and I had the first line of the show. I always tell this story, but I had the first line of the show, which was like, hello, London, how are you doing tonight? Like, you're waiting for or just trusting that the woo it's going to come. Like, because the only thing we have similar to that is Panto, right?
Yes.
And I was like, you are never going to get Londoners to do that. And Lucy was like, just trust me, it works. You've just done the opening number. They will be sold after the divorced, boom, boom. Because it's just written so brilliantly. Like, and it wasn't till that first night when I went, hello, London, and like the whole of the art stage, I went, Rad! I was like, oh my God, this works. Like this new style that we were investing in. Like, because you don't know if it's going to be good. And also, you know, you just do what you do with the material, and the other actors. There was almost no time to kind of pass judgment. And then the reaction that kind of came back was we sort of all after the first week already went up to doing 2 shows a week. It just somehow just went bonkers, and then it obviously got its commission to kind of go on further, and then by the time it was up and running, 4 out of the 6 of us were on other things. But we were really lucky that we got asked to do that album, and I mean, it's gone mad. Well, I speak to Equity about like. I speak to Equity about albums, and they're like, no albums make any money, no musical theatre albums make any money. And then it's like looking at this one and just going, it's worldwide, but it's about a time in history that everybody knows about. We're all taught about it. It's about female empowerment. It's got modern music. It allows the audience to be immersed in it. It's also full of historical facts, but also so much fun. Everyone can see a version, male or female, everyone can see a version of themselves on stage, like whether it's the strength or loss or it has like everything in an hour and 10 minutes. So I think, yeah, it's just like smacked out at just the right time where culturally maybe we needed that.
For sure. I mean, it's and it's so lovely. I go running and I'm listening to Six, and I'm like, it's my friend Christina.
See, that's the thing. I feel like I can't listen to it because it's like vain, isn't it? It's a bit vain.
You listen.
Putting your...
You listen. Don't lose your head.
I can't put it on. I'm like, I can't be like, what if someone sees my phone and then they're like, oh, why are you listening to yourself? It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Amazing. Don't worry, don't worry. I literally. I'm sure everyone else that's watching this. That you are phenomenal in Six. What an incredible thing to have, you know, been in the original cast for. Amazing. And we haven't got loads of time left. I'd love to talk to you quickly about the National and what it means like working at the RSC and Regent's Park, like 3 incredible different venues. What would you say? Could you tell us a little bit about your experience, or what's it like to be like, yeah, I worked at the National?
The National job, it was, I mean, but all of them have been really special jobs. Little Shop, I've always wanted to do since I was a kid, because I did it as an amateur, and I was like, I remember when the breakdown came in for it, and I was like, I need to be in the show. And I was like, I thought ethnically maybe I might not make it. Like, why would they choose me over people who could probably do it better?
Wow.
So I took the audition from a completely different angle and was like, right, if I'm going to get this job, I've got to do something different with it, something that hasn't been done before. And honestly, it bugged me for like ages before. And then the day before the audition, I was like, Latino. I'm going to try Latino. I don't know if everyone's ever done that, but the Southern accent really sounded like not right with my look and the time and the style. And I know I can sing in that style. So I was like, how can I give it a different flavor? And I think that's ultimately, when I went into that room, in front of all of those girls, we all got put together, we all sang together. I literally left that audition and went, anyone could get that job. Any one of those 20 girls could get that job, because everyone was just amazing. It would just be who they pieced together. But just, I've never done a job before where you have to worry about the weather. Like but then equally, like listening to Jemima Rupert singing Somewhere That's Green and the trees are rustling, and you know, you're in the middle of a scene and you're supposed to be frozen and there's a wasp, you know, and you're like, I can't move, like, and all those things, it's live and it makes it really magical. So, and also again, we had a really awesome team on that, like where as a cast we just bonded really, really well. So yeah, Regent's Park was really special. The National I worked at, so I did The Winter's Tale, and it was for young audiences, and it was really, really, again, I feel really lucky, like really, really special cast who were all kind of in we all had a similar mindset, and trying to perform Shakespeare for young audiences is you just think they're never going to understand this, and they did because we ripped it apart and we put it back together, and we stayed and we did Q&As, and I just think it's so important to inspire our young audiences. I just think it's
right now.
Yeah, no. I hope some of this helps, guys.
It's helping me.
I mean, but yeah, we did it, and there's also something about doing Shakespeare in an hour as well. And then there was also something about working in that building, which is just so inclusive and special when you look at who's like walked those kind of boards, we've got a tour around the RSA, and they're like, you tread the boards, and it's the same with the RSC. You walk in and you're like, God, how many amazing people have stood on this stage, and it really humbles you. But again, working at the RSC, that it was a show for young audiences. It's a show for young people to accept who they are and accept their differences. And I remember just at the end of Winter's Tale, we had a Q&A, and this little kid, we were like, any questions? Because all the cast were really passionate. It's quite, sometimes you get casts that aren't that passionate. They want to do the job and then they want to leave. But we all stayed for the Q&As. We all spent time with the kids to really answer their questions and to give them time. And we had kids with learning difficulties. We had kids from underprivileged backgrounds. So it was, and then kids with their families, and so many different kids from so many walks of life. And I just remember we finished the show one day, and we were like, has anyone got any questions? And some kid who must have been about 7 was just like looking in his seat, and he was like, "Is there a sequel?" And you just go, you understood everything. Like you understood everything so much more that you want more. And it was just like, it was really like rewarding. And even in the Q&As, chatting to the young students about, there's a character called Mamilius, who is a young boy, and unfortunately, sorry, spoiler alert, close your ears if you don't want to hear, but Mamilius passes away. And we went to God, she must have been no more than 8, and we were like, why do you think she passed away? And she was like, because he's depressed. And when you look and you think, wow, kids and students are intelligent, they watch, they learn, and everyone underestimates that. And also they're the hardest audiences, because if they don't believe you, they switch off. So I learned so much. You can say what you want about the National and the RSC being on the CV, and yeah, that's great, but the jobs meant way more than that. I think they were much more weighted than that for me, because the need to tell that story was more important than me working in a building. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what was so special about it. And it's the same with the acceptance of boy in the dress, yeah, of course boys can wear dresses. Why not? Why do we have to treat them differently?
For sure.
So I think that's what, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool seeing the CV, but then it's kind of like, what do you actually learn from those projects, and how do they change you? And I think it all leads to different things. So I think, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Christina.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Can I ask you, we've got a couple of minutes left. You are such an inspirational lady. You're right. This train, Isle of Wight.
Thanks, Isle of Wight. Bless you.
Smash your career, and we'll keep smashing it, I have no doubt. The Agony Actor, so that is, you said it's your business, it's your new business, and
yeah,
could you give us a
so it's I always struggle with this. It's a business that's not business. It's a service, a personalized service for actors, or anyone within the industry. You don't have to be an actor. It's a support system, basically. So a place for people to build their skills, to work on their mindset, to talk about things that perhaps they feel lack in the industry, and then work out how we problem solve that. And it basically works on people's products. Everyone uses it for something different. I teach like young students who just want to sing a bit, and then I talk to professional actors who are managing home life with working. I talk to some people who are managing mental health with working or with not working. There are some people who just want to do some self-tip practice, so we do that. There are some people who, everyone comes to me for different reasons, and if I can't help, then I tend to pass it on to someone who can. Or if I see something in someone that reminds me of someone else, then I'll go, I'm going to ask if I can give you their email address, because actually talking to that professional, I think, will help you, because their experience will be in you. So it's all about connecting people. It's all about supporting people. So it's really hard to find like a fundamental thing that we do, because we do lots of different things. If what you need is to talk for 10 minutes before you go into an audition room just to gear up your mindset, then Agony Actor's here for that. If what you want is like weekly sessions, if what you want is to drop in once every 6 months or once whenever you feel like you just need to vent something out, then, it's just a safe space basically for anyone that wants some support.
Amazing. You are amazing. Yeah. So inspiring. Thank you so much. Time. I'm going to listen to 6.
Yeah, listen to it for me as well.
I literally love it.
Excuse my van.
But like, what an incredible thing to have done. Like,
get those streams up. Get them up.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Tam.
Thank you.
And you are inspiring doing this, for all your wonderful students. It's like you are facilitating amazing things, and so you equally, and you keep going on at me, but you equally deserve that credit, because
theatre trained. It's not so much me, but theatre trained. Theatre trained. If you want class,
it's all of the things.
Yes, come and see. And also I'm doing my own, I have to tell everyone before we go, my own theatre trained masterclass in Les Mis in 2 weeks' time.
Go. Can I come?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you hear the people say? With 6. Don't knock your head. Like, just at the same.
You should do Les Mis in the style of 6.
How
would you do that?
Bill. I'm going to do it now.
Do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Theatre Train, for having me on.
Thank you, Christina, for being incredible. Amazing.
Bye, everyone.
Have a happy Sunday, everyone. Bye-bye. Yay. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much, everybody. Have the most amazing day. Join us next week for an incredible guest who's done a lot of work in musical theatre, who will be joining us next Saturday. And for the Saturdays to come, have a wonderful Saturday, and we'll see you then. And come along and join the masterclass, Theatre Train Masterclass, 2 weeks' time. Les Mis, let your centre director know. Subscribe. It's going to be really fun. And we'll be doing a song from the show and having a great time using our voices in the Theatre Train way. Lots of love.